Hi guys, it's Lynn here. I hope you're having an amazing day. Now guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can save a rotting Sansevieria if that ever happens to you, as in this case here. I'm just in the middle of sort of going through a lot of the plants now. Spring is here, having a big revamp in the polytunnel and cleaning up, and sadly this Sansevieria has took a bit of a turn here. Sort of rotted right at the base. It was doing very well over the winter, and it actually came into shoot of a load of new growth, as you can see there, and I gave it a bit of watering, and sadly it's just gone. But the good news, they're very easy to save from cuttings. So this plant is not lost. The main base of it has gone. But to save this plant from cuttings, it's going to be very simple. Now, I have made a video on how to propagate Sansevieria from cuttings. And it's exactly the same thing to save a rotting plant. As long as you've got enough of the leaf left, as in this case, got two good, fairly healthy leaves there. And they're quite succulent too, so no problem. And links up above to that video on how to propagate Sansevieria from leaf cuttings, and it's exactly the same as here. But and the links above to that video also. But I'm also going to be saving this as well and showing you the method again of what to do. Obviously, when it comes to propagating, I'm going to be cutting across here and then letting it cutting a few more. Couple of pieces here, or letting them callus over, and then potting them up after a few days when they've calloused as cuttings. So let's get going then, shall we guys? Now guys, I've got my wonderful fiancé Hansi here to help me with this, because I hate using scalpels. I'm scared of knives, scalpels in particular. So I've got Hansi to actually do the actual cutting, and I'm going to explain what's happening here. Now, I'm going to let Hansi go ahead. If you're not familiar with my wonderful fiancé Hansi's amazing YouTube channel, do go over and subscribe. It's family of cactuses and other beauties. Links up above.
Thank you.
And here you go. You want to make sure that you cut well away from the rot. As you can see, there's a tiny little bit of rot still left, so you want to make sure you go right above that. And obviously using clean knife or scalpel.
There we have it.
Brilliant. Nice clean. Look, it's a good healthy cutting, so it's saving I just thought I'd make this video if this ever happens to anyone, because it's a good way of taking cuttings at the same time as saving a plant. Some people just think it's dead and just throw it out, but you can save them from cuttings. There you go, nice clean healthy cutting there. And
what do you think of this one?
possibly even that little one as well.
We can test it.
I think so. Oh, excuse that noise, big seagull overhead.
No, not noise. They're singing and talking to us. Lovely birds.
Possibly even this one as well. This was the new shoot from this year, wasn't it?
I think so.
That's great.
Is that one? So bye-bye.
Bye-bye, planty. It's going to be composted. It's a compost heaven. And then now with these cuttings, now what you can do then is cut them again into either 2 or 3 more pieces. Now, the larger cuttings, these are large cuttings, so obviously probably...
No, 3.
About 3.
You need to have 10 centimeters, I think.
Yeah.
I recommend that. 10 centimeters.
Brilliant.
The Sansevieria, so there you have 10.
Because the cutting, you see, when the plant forms little rootlets and forms its little plantlets, it uses the old part of the leaf to take its energy before it establishes itself. It's almost like the leaf is almost like a seed. And as I say, I explain more in the how to propagate Sansevieria in this method, so do watch that video. Not only the links up above, the links will also be down below as well, so watch that, because that explains about how to pot them up. I don't need to show that in this video because it's the same method. And that's it. So out of 2 leaves you can actually get probably about quite a few cuttings.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cuttings we have here.
That's brilliant.
So,
and what you want to make sure is obviously make sure that the part that you've cut is, you know which way it is, so you know which is the front and the back.
Bottom.
These are all the bottom here,
top.
and this is all the top. The reason being, if you go and plant it the upside down, it may not work. So make sure you have, as in this case, the right direction. This is easy enough because the leaf top you can see. I'll just turn this round so we know that this is going to be the rooted part, and if you've got a lot that are like these middle parts, then maybe just make a sticky note or note to notice that this is actually going to be the rooted part. Now what you need to do, and I explain in the propagation video, is you need to let the bottom part where you've cut callus over so it forms a thick skin. And this is with all succulents. You do need to let them callus over first. The reason being, if I was to just pop this now into soil, it's possible that because it's damp here and it's succulents store water, that it could rot, and then you're back to square one with having a rotted plant again. So leave it to callus over for a minimum of about 3 days, or until it forms a white thick scab at the bottom, or not necessarily a thick scab, a white skin at the bottom, and it's dried. And as I say, explain that in the propagation video. And what you want to do is keep this now in a dry place, away from direct sunshine, while it does heal over. Because if I was to keep this outside, obviously, and the damp gets onto it, keep it in a dry place. Now it's a couple of days I've let these to callus over, and you know when it's ready to plant up, because the very bottom there will have dried. You can see when the cut was first done, it was all sort of wet. Now it's completely dried. The very slight sort of white crust at the bottom. And this again prevents rotting, because if you used to put them straight up into soil, then the rot can enter through the cut part. So this is a bit of a safety thing there. And this is obviously exactly the same method I did on how to propagate Sansevieria. But I'm just going to show you again in this video. If you haven't watched the other video, you pick one of the parts here, and you literally you want to actually just get the soil into about an inch. You don't want to put the whole lot in the soil, obviously, or put it in too deeply, because this can rot and then you're back to square one again. You just wanted this to come into contact with the soil, because this is where the roots are going to be coming from. And then the little plantlet will form from the base. So you just want to make sure that it's in contact with the soil. So put about an inch there, and put it in at a very slight angle. And as I say, I'm going to put these all into the same pot, just so they can all root together. Once they have rooted and they've formed their little plantlets, and this has sort of died back, the little plantlet acts, this here, the leaf, is sort of food and moisture for the little plantlet while it's developing. This will eventually go brown and die back, and you're left with a new little plant, and then I can pot them all up individually. So this is what I'm going to do with all of these cuttings here. And as I say, it's really important that you make a note of what the part is you've obviously going to be putting into the soil, because there's this part here. This is a middle part of the stem. So if I was to put it in that way, it's not going to root. So you want to make sure that it's in the same direction of what it should be. The roots would normally be growing in. Again, exactly the same thing there. And I'm going to do that with all of these, and then I'm going to show you then what it looks like when it's all done. But obviously you want to make sure there's a bit of space in between each one, so you're giving a chance for the plant to grow. Now what I've done here, the soil mix I've actually made, it's actually a well-draining soil mix. You can use any type of well-draining soil with a bit of extra perlite, and you don't want to be using heavy clay soil and things like that where it's going to stay wet for a long time, because you want to get these plants to obviously not rot again. So they have to be fast drying. Sansevierias are succulents, so they store water in their leaves, so they need a very well draining soil. In this case, I've used a loam-based soil by John Innes No. 2, but you can use any type of soil, whichever you prefer, as long as it's airy and it's free draining. And I would always put a bit of extra perlite or grit as well to give it more aeration. I'm going to carry on doing that then with all of these, and then show you the finished results. So there you go, that's all the cuttings there. And what you want to do then, now remember that these cuttings haven't got roots, so you don't want to go ahead and just give it a big watering, because it's not going to be able to drink without roots. But what you do want to do is encourage the cuttings to send out roots. And you can do this by gently, very slightly misting just around the very top surface of the soil and onto the plant with one of these little mister bottles. And this is because you can just very lightly mist the cuttings here. This helps to prevent dehydration, and as I say, helps to encourage rooting. But don't go ahead and water it the normal way with a watering can, because you want this, as I said, this is very, very lightweight. And just spray it probably every few days, just enough to the plant to stop it from shriveling and give it a chance to send out roots. And you should see roots developing and a plant, but anything from a month to 2 to 3 months, depending on the time of the year. Always best to do cuttings in spring and summer, obviously. But this I've already made a video on taking cuttings. This is more on how to save a rotting Sansevieria. So when you want to save it, this could be happening in the middle of winter, which usually what does happen when they rot is usually during the winter months, then treat it in the same way. But I'd possibly keep it a little bit drier, maybe only mist it once or twice a week, because it's darker nights, doesn't want to necessarily send out roots until the springtime. But as I say, Sansevieria store a lot of water in their leaves, so shouldn't be a problem there. And do check out the other video on how to propagate Sansevieria, guys. Links, I say, up above and down below. So guys, thank you so much for watching. And if this should happen to your mother-in-law's tongue plant, as they say, Sansevieria, you'll know what to do, and hopefully you'll have enough left of the leaf to propagate. And if you want to know more about how to grow cacti and succulents, do check out my website, desertplantsofavalon.com. So guys, thanks so much for watching. And I want to send you loads of love, heaps of happiness, and tons of plant power from across the Emerald Isle. And until the next video, bye.